Hey, I'm Marcellus Womack, aka Sil, and I want to address a hot topic. Is Michael Jordan an asset or a liability to black culture?
Hey Dad, you ready to?
Give me a second. I'm going to finish up something. But y'all just go out in the driveway and just do the two-ball drills.
Okay.
And I'll be out on it. As y'all just recognize, my bad, but ball is life over here. So many angles to basketball. That was my son and his friend, and I'm go to the Y and do some skill drills with him in a little bit. But back to the topic at hand: is Michael Jordan an asset or a liability to black culture? This was brought up by Dr. Boyce Watkins, and there was an article in which someone was supporting Scoop Jackson, journalist, was supporting Michael Jordan being an asset because he hires and inspires blacks with his business ventures, and he also does things in the community that's not always recognized. But Dr. Boyce Watkins disagreed, felt he was a liability because of his extraordinary greatness that he's achieved as an athlete and also as a businessman, but how that hasn't translated into being a spokesperson and providing solutions to black culture with so much going on in our world that really impacts us. So because of that, I want to address this topic, and I want to start with addressing Jordan's excellence and what type of impact that has, and how that translates to him being an asset or a liability. So one with Michael Jordan, I'm sure we all recognize, is he's arguably the greatest athlete ever. I think the only other name that's brought up ahead of his is Muhammad Ali, and it is because of his strong voice as a black activist and a global activist for causes that he believed in that transcended sports. So I'm even proud to have a picture of myself with the champ Ali and my dad, who's a champ in his own right. So cool thing as well. But much props to Muhammad Ali. But outside of Muhammad Ali, I think Michael Jordan is regarded as probably the greatest athlete of all time. And we haven't seen a level of maximized talent and maximized work ethic the way that we've seen with Michael Jordan. There's even a book that I have by Tim Grover, and it's called Relentless: From Good to Great to Unstoppable. And it digs into how Jordan was as great as he was. And we've all seen, we know about his accolades. He's the scoring average leader of all time, and the MVPs, the 6 championships out of all 6 that he went to, never lost one. All the great accolades, MVPs that he's achieved. But that book goes into the dark side of Michael Jordan and any great, and what it takes to harness that sort of drive is normally them being able to channel through negative experiences and create scenarios that are almost ungodly, and face those conflicts in order to rise to the highest level. And an example, outside of scenarios where you'll hear about in the book how he punched somebody in the face, and a teammate, or how he would wake up at 5 o'clock to engage in a breakfast club training that he would call, and do that, and then go to practice afterwards, and then practice after that, things that we just aren't even wired to do. But he also had a drive, a will to win, and it was a lot of it pulled from negative experiences. Even as Dr. Boyce Watkins brought up, one of the things that he disliked the most was Jordan's Hall of Fame speech. And there, if you watched it, it was very vengeful. He brought up negative experiences, whether it was him being cut or Dean Smith not putting him on the cover of Sports Illustrated with all the rest of the starters because he was a freshman, or his first All-Star game where all the other All-Stars that he wanted to befriend, pretty much iced him out, weren't passing him the ball. He brought up all those things as experiences that fueled him and motivated him, and that's part of that dark side of taking those hurtful experiences and turning them around and make you absolutely great at something. And when I look at those types of situations, I think one that's never brought up with Michael Jordan is his particular way of processing racism. And in that particular situation, or actually one that I heard about, he was in Little League, probably like 10 years old or so. Little League team won a championship, and he was on a team of all white kids. and there was a pool party afterwards, and Michael Jordan went there. All the other kids were playing in the swim pool, and when he took his shirt off and jumped in the pool, a white parent, told their kids to get out, and all the other parents followed suit and telling their kids to get out. And Michael Jordan had to process that hurt and that pain of wanting to just play with his teammates, do backstrokes after hitting who knows how many home runs and stealing how many bases, where they all cheered as a team, but they didn't want him to jump in that swim pool, whether it was because they thought his black skin was going to contaminate it as a young black male, or whatever ungodly level of ignorance going through that parent's mind to create such a hoopla about a kid that wants to swim with his teammates. So Jordan went home, he cried about it, and his father said, use that as motivation to become absolutely great at whatever it is that you do. Don't let anybody hold you down. Don't ever be afraid. Don't ever feel that you're below anybody. You use that to become great at everything that you're doing, and push past all of that discrimination and bigotry and all those things. And I think that's what Jordan did. And he took that maybe to a level beyond what anyone has ever done as it relates to recognizing a talent, an athletic talent, and using that as fuel. And I think that's what drove Michael Jordan to becoming one of the greatest athletes and one of the greatest businessmen in terms of someone who leveraged their athletic talent to business. His Jordan brand is currently, it generates $2.5 billion for Nike. And that is 10%, almost 10% of Nike's annual revenue, which is $28 billion. And that is, it's incredible. Of the largest global leader in that particular industry, Jordan represents 10% of his annual revenue value. So that's amazing. To even compare that to LeBron James, his gym shoes currently generate, I believe, $300 million a year. Jordan hasn't played for 15 years, and his generates $2.5 billion, which is 2.2 billion beyond the greatest athlete right now during this current generation, definitely for basketball. So what drives that? I believe that it was his processing of what it meant to be, his processing of what a solution would be to black America, to him being black in America and in this world. And it was, I'm going to be the absolute best. If you looked at the Martin Luther King model and nonviolence, that led to Dr. King, not being the richest person, and he was killed before the age of 40. And many of us don't want that for our lives. Malcolm X, by any means necessary, more so initially an eye for eye sort of embracement of violence in order to, gain justice for blacks. And he was ridiculed and killed by those with inside of his particular group, and even a system greater than that as well, that was against him outside of his immediate affiliation. And that there, and he died before he was 40, and you look at the stories of Marcus Garvey that didn't end well, and Black Panthers, and so many just incredible leaders and groups for blacks, and we can't say that they have led to an all-out solution, as well as the other forms of assimilation, but I think Jordan said, hey, I don't know if I have a dream speech. I don't know if I have a by any means speech. I don't know if I have a Black Panther revolutionary that's able to bring about something that's going to work for me and work for the good of black culture. So, hey, I'm going to drive my ability to dunk, and I'm going to jump so high, dunk so hard, I'm going to score so many points, and I'm going to become so great. I'm going to leverage that into other monetary ways and building a business and a brand and becoming what he has become, a billionaire off of that. That's a level of drive and talent that many of us have not seen, many of us have not demonstrated. So there's a certain respect and value, and I think that inner motivation was racism, and him finding the best way to be the best black man that he could be in this world that discriminates so much against him. And with that being said, I do agree with the disconnect that Dr. Boyce Watkins and so many others have seen with Michael Jordan, and not kind of speaking up for issues that uplift blacks. And I know for me, when I heard that when he was playing and there was some political issues going on, and he stated that, hey, Republicans buy my shoes too, meaning that I'm gonna be neutral, and I'm gonna be talented, I'm gonna make money, I'm not gonna create a fuss about it. And I said, wow, that's tough in the wake of, so many things happening to those that look just like you, come from backgrounds just like you, and are going through harsh experiences that you too went through, to get to a point and not be able to shed more light and solutions to that. It's painful. And I know there have been other circumstances that Jordan has shied away from, and with so many buying his shoes, and with so much support, so much idolization for him. Me being from the south side of Chicago, I emulated. I wanted to do every dunk that he did in my backyard. I wanted to wear his shoes. My mom would ask, hey, I'm going to spend this money on back to school clothes or shoes, Jordan shoes, which one? And I would tell her the Jordan shoes. So I'm a part of that fanatic. But as an adult and recognizing the issues that are at hand, seeing unarmed young black males being killed, and all the many discriminatory situations that we see in the education system, and the legal system, and the prison system, and the economic systems, and when we compare just things that just still are not right, and we have a great black elite who's not willing to speak on those, it does hurt. But the way I process this, and I'll leave it at this, I'm a brand strategist, and I operate as a PR and marketing consultant. So I understand when you're dealing with customers or clients, especially in today's age, you have to paint a picture that works for them. If I go to a client and I say, hey, you need to do this sort of advertising, that advertising can't just be something that's good for brand awareness. It has to impact their bottom line and all the other criteria that's important for them. And I think the same with customers. We don't just make decisions just because it's the right thing to do. And even for us blacks, we don't engage in the best situations for black activism. That thing has to work for ourselves, has to work for our current job and our career and our families and our livelihood and our safety. Those are a lot of decisions that we make, fortunately and unfortunately. So I think and with anyone who wants to get Michael Jordan or anybody of that sort of iconic value on the team of black culture, and for them to be an asset versus a liability, first I'll look at what an asset or liability is. Asset is something that appreciates in value, increases. Liability is something that decreases in value. And simply stated, asset helps you, liability hurts you. So a house can be an asset, or it could be a liability. If it's upside down, you're paying too much, not able to sell it for anything worth its value. The same with a friend. The same with a spouse. The same with money. Cash in hand can be an asset if you have the talent and opportunities to be able to do with it things that are going to make more money for yourself, or it is going to be a liability. It's going to be something that if you have an addiction to drugs, or if you have a criminal lifestyle, or if you engage in gambling, it will hurt you to have more money. So an asset or liability is pretty much what you choose for it to be. I recognize Michael Jordan as being an asset because I do think that he has a blueprint of greatness that we can use and use it just for that. I heard Jay-Z say when he was asked about his lack of charity activity that my presence is charity. And I said, man, if that's not the most cocky, egotistical, selfish thing to say. But the reality is their presence alone does so much for the black community. And so many within black culture that we have to recognize that it is a gift that they have, that they share with us. And it's something that we can use for empowerment, not particularly because they're the voice of our particular situations. I think their excellence is just one component, and being excellent, being the best at what you do. If you can get that from a Jordan, a Jay-Z, a Beyonce, then that alone is a great piece to the puzzle. But when we look at if they can be a further asset, and I think that they can. I do think there's room to bridge that disconnect and that divide between elites and iconic figures like them, and bringing them to speak on more powerful situations that are going to help create change and solution. I believe that there needs to be, what I'm going to say is, a triangle offense for a Michael Jordan as it relates to black culture, black liberation, black activism. So last thing that I'll leave you with, Jordan, in his early part of his career when he was scoring a lot, but his team wasn't winning championships, someone told him there's no I in team. And he told them, you know what, there's a big fat I in the middle of win. And his individual perspective and his work ethic and his talent individually, that was what propelled him to a level to even integrate within a team concept. And the team concept that ended up working where he won championships was the triangle offense. It was when Tex Winter and Phil Jackson, they brought to him a offensive set where there's going to be a triangle. At every particular point, there's going to be a pyramid on that court, and you're going to have multiple options. Now, those options will engage your teammates more. It will make them a lot better. You will get the best out of your Steve Kerrs. You will get a top 50 play out of Scottie Pippen. You will get the most out of your Horace Grants, your Dennis Rodmans, your Bill Cartwrights. All those players, they will play their best under that situation. You will get the maximum productivity out of them, but you also get the maximum productivity out of yourself. You will have more situations on the court to score. You will become a better three-point shooter. You will become better at various different angles of scoring on the court. You will be in motion in so many ways to make you more of a threat as well. And that is something Jordan bought into. They won 6 championships, and I would say that Jordan, by default, has to be one of the greatest teammates that ever existed because he was on one of the greatest teams. Now, as this relates to black culture, I believe Jordan can be an even greater asset if we put our minds together, and between business strategists like myself or the intellectual community, between just the masses, everybody who has an opinion, and everybody who can create something, I think we have to put our minds around, if we want to engage these elite who have a talent and they have capitalized, literally capitalism capitalized on that talent, we have to find a way of bringing together a solution that uplifts black culture, and that brings particular solutions to the table of all the different things that hurt us, but it has to do it in a way where it increases their value, increases their brand, increases their money, increases their popularity, and all the other things that they have worked so hard to do. Because we can say that, hey, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't be about that. I have a good friend, Charles G., who says that we shouldn't blur the lines between capitalism and activism. But I totally believe now that you have to bridge them. It has to make sense from a capitalism standpoint. For Michael Jordan to say, hey, I can be an even greater billionaire, I can have a greater impact, I can be have a greater role in something that's going to work, not fail, but something that's going to work and still be as popular and as embraced. It has to fit that mold because that's what they dedicated their whole lives to. And the reality is they weren't as popular, if they weren't as successful, if they weren't as talented, and if they weren't as rich as they are and continuously become more of, we wouldn't even be talking to them, we wouldn't even be asking for their help. So for them to maintain that iconic status where they influence millions, we have to start bringing solutions and courting them in a way that we represent them as the luxury clientele or the luxury customers that are able to add value to situations in black culture. And if we can do that, and do that in a way which is a great challenge, something I'm going to put more mind to, what is the triangle offense for black culture? If we can bridge that and bring that to the table, I think that we would get way more buy-in from a Michael Jordan, a Jay-Z, an Oprah Winfrey, even a President Obama. And that's my challenge to you, to find out what are the pieces to that triangle offense so that activism can be maximized and maximize even more capitalism and success and money and all the different things that our iconic figures have that we adore them for, that we want them to share with solutions for black culture. So thanks again, and let me know what you think. Peace.